to work out this problem using both half-angle formulas to show you that no matter which one you choose, the results are the same. Coming right up. The first thing I want to notice here is that the tangent of pi over 12 can be written as the tangent of pi over 6 divided by 2. And that is what is going to allow me to use the half-angle formula. So I'm going to need to find the sine of pi over 6. And you can see I've written my memorized triangle there. The sine of pi over 6 is the opposite over the hypotenuse. And then I have the cosine of pi over 6. And that, of course, is going to give me the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And now I'm going to work use each one of these formulas and show you that they are exactly the same. So the tangent of pi over 12, well, let's use the first one first. So 1 minus the cosine of pi over 6, all divided by the sine of pi over 6. And that's going to be 1 minus the square root of 3 over 2, all divided by 1/2. Of course, that's going to give me 2 minus the square root of 3, all over 2, all over 1/2. And I can multiply by the reciprocal, so I'll have 2 minus the square root of 3. I'll just put that in parentheses so I don't get myself confused. Divided by 2 times the reciprocal, 2 over 1. And you see that that's just 2 minus the square root of 3. Now I'm going to work this problem and use the other formula, this one, sine over 1 plus cosine. So now I have tangent pi over 12, and that is the sine of pi over 6, all over 1 plus now the cosine of pi over 6. A little bit more work using this formula. So the sine of pi over 6 is 1/2, all divided by 1 plus the square root of 3 over 2. And I'm going to have to simplify that. So that's going to give me 1/2 all over 2 plus the square root of 3 all over 2. And by a multiplication of the reciprocals again, I'm going to get 1 all over 2 plus the square root of 3. Well, that doesn't look the same. But you remember, you've got to rationalize the denominator. So when I rationalize the denominator, I multiply by the conjugate. So that's 2 minus the square root of 3 all over 2 minus the square root of 3. And that is going to give me 2 minus the square root of 3. 2 minus the square root of 3. Get myself some more room here. And that's going to be divided by, multiply or FOIL these together, I'm going to get 4 minus 3. And that's actually just 2 minus the square root of 3. You can see that it doesn't matter which formula we use, although one was a little bit more work than the other. But we got 2 minus the square root of 3 no matter which formula we used. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.